Hello and welcome back to Rorys workshop. Thanks for swinging on by. As you can see, today we're not in the workshop, we're out in the orchard. Thankfully we've got beautiful blue skies here in Somerset today, and we're taking full advantage of cutting the grass in the orchard. And here's my mighty steed. Fantastic bit of kit, and it does quite a good job nipping between all the trees. So I'm going to do it here. And then later on I'm going to swap the battery in the Series 2 because it's playing up a little bit. We're going to swap it with the 90s battery and see if that makes any difference. And that's about it really today. Nice chilled out day away from everyone else, which is really nice. So that's the orchard nicely cut. Quite pleased with the finish. It's the first cut of the year, and hopefully there'll be quite a few more. You see our young pear and apple trees in the back. We planted these about 3 or 4 years ago now, and they've been really good throughout the years, giving us quite nice produce, which is really nice to have homegrown stuff, as I'm sure a few of you will know. So the battery on the Series has been playing up for a little while now. It's okay, but on a morning, if you leave it for a couple of days, you just can't start it. You've got to jump start it or get the old power pack out. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this battery out and I'll be swapping it with the one in the 90. The one in the 90 is a known good battery. We're just trying to make sure that it is the battery that's at fault, not like the starter solenoid or anything like that. But we do have a starter solenoid in stock, so we can throw that in if we need to, and I'll get back to you in a moment. So that's the battery in. This battery is a lot less amp hours than what the one I've just removed out of the 90. So let's go and see if it'll start. Hopefully it does start a bit better. If not, we'll be looking at the starter solenoid and the starting system. Key, to, yeah. To me, and get the Volta as well. It's got a new alternator. Here they come. There we go. Great, so yeah, sounds to me like it is the alternator. But I think what we'll do now is that we'll leave it overnight and we'll see what it's like in the morning, because that is a good battery. I'll chuck the Series battery into the 90 and see how that does tomorrow morning as well. I'm not going to be taking either of them home tonight, so we can leave them where they are. So that's the battery in the 90 now. We'll see if it starts in here all right. And we'll go from there, right? So, give that a go. Contact. Oh, that is quite interesting. So, I don't know, really, is the honest answer. What we'll do is that we'll leave it overnight and we'll see if it drains down through the night. But the 90 has been quite difficult to start recently, and for it to start that easily and quite well, I'm suspecting it could be something else. But until tomorrow, we won't know. We'll catch up with you tomorrow then. So it's the next day. I've left it quite a while before I came back up to do the start again. I'll leave the camera where you can see the engine, as that's probably far more interesting than what I'm going to be doing. But let's see if it'll turn over. How quick. Contact. So that's interesting. I think the next thing for us to look at is the starter solenoid. I've got one in stock, as I said earlier on. I'll put the battery charger on it as well, because although that battery was on the 90, it started it perfectly fine. I think it could be down just a little bit, but we'll soon find out. If it's not the starter solenoid, we'll start looking at the cables and things like that. There's clearly something not quite right. The starter motor that's fitted to this is a high torque, low amp starter. I don't know, but until we start chewing on through and fault finding, we'll have to carry on. So as the 90s battery didn't start the Series, let's have a look and see if the Series battery will start the 90. Let's go for a wander. I think the keys are in it. At least I hope they are, because I haven't got them. Ah, yes, even better. Right, let's have a look. See, one of them. In fact, I'm going to need both hands, so I'll set you down about there. That's on, that's on. Well, I'm very surprised at that. That started really well. So to me, it's not the battery. Let's move on and have a look at the starter solenoid. I'll be back in a moment and hopefully I'll have one in my hand. There we go. So now that the car's in the workshop, it's easier to do everything in here. We'll put the battery on charge. I'll do some continuity checks to make sure everything's drawing what it should be and what have we with the old multimeter. And yeah, I'll grab the other starter solenoid. It could be that. It could be the leads. Until we start messing about, we won't know, will we? So I don't have one on the shelf, a starter solenoid that is, but I thought I'd show you what there is one on. A couple of weeks ago, I bought a new starter solenoid because this piece of equipment stopped working. Some of you may find this interesting. So, it's a saw bench. Sorry about the lighting, the sun seems to be out today. It's a saw bench, and it was made by my father-in-law a number of years ago when he was a little bit younger than what he is now. It uses a combine harvester engine, runs on petrol paraffin, direct drive through the gearbox, and similar to the lathe, it has a lever assembly which puts tension onto the belt, transfers power directly to the massive saw bench. Works really well. You can tell when he fires it up, it sounds bloody fantastic. Has its own governor. Oh, video's gone off. Oh well, I presume it's still recording. What do you reckon? Ah yes, so it is. Oh good, new camera and everything. So yeah, it's got the governor which keeps it a set RPM, and obviously when you put load on, it opens up the throttle and gives you more power. It doesn't get used very often, so I'm sure he won't mind me borrowing the new starter solenoid. This is from Bearmach. All the stuff that I buy for Land Rovers, if Bearmach have got it in stock, I always use them. I'll put a link to the description of what starter solenoid this is. It's just a standard series one, common on all sorts of cars from this sort of era. But I'll whip it off. I'll probably try and do a time lapse. So now I've got the, as you just saw, I took the spare wheel off. There's no need for me to have it on, plus I want to open it right up to the very top so I can get to the starter solenoid. But actually, whilst I'm here, I'm going to check the battery, see what sort of condition it's in, and I'll show you really. You see that? Hey, look at that. Positive, negative 12.18. So it is low. Luckily, I have prepared, very badly of course, a battery charger. So what I'll do now is I'll leave it on charge. We'll leave it on charge overnight. I'll throw on this new solenoid just in case. See if there's any difference. If it doesn't make any difference, I'll put the old one back on and we'll start looking at the cable. This system is not the standard system. It's quite ingenious, really. We've got a master, we've got the actual starter button just underneath the dash like anything else, and then we've got the remote starter solenoid. The starter solenoid is actioned by the pressing of the starter button, so there's no the big cable goes from here round the back into a master switch, kill switch, and then into the starter motor. I don't think there's too much of a drop. I will clean up all the connections as I go, as I'm sure quite a few Land Rover chaps are screaming at me now saying just clean the points. But we'll do that and we'll go from there. But I think for the moment I'll make sure that it looks exactly the same, doesn't it? except it's not, doesn't have that earth. Oh, it's not. Bugger. So I can't chuck this one in because this this solenoid is missing this. It looks like an earth. For some reason, it's got everything else except it's got the feed in, but it doesn't have the earth. I'll best ring the owner, I think, and see how he's wired it up. I'll be back in a moment. So off camera, because I can do that because I'm filming it, I've confirmed that this one does take power and it is earthed through the body, which is what I thought it would be, which is great. So the reason why it didn't work before, and if I don't show it, it didn't work before, it was because the solenoid had stuck. So I give it a quick tap and it's freed up really nicely now. So now I've just got to reconnect everything how it once was. Right, let's try again, shall we? Battery charge is off, battery connected. Oops, sorry. Oh, so there we go. We'll shut it down because everything's vibrating all over the place. So to me, that sort of looks like it was the starter solenoid. What I'll do is I'll leave it. I won't leave it on charge because I want to see how the battery's getting on. We'll see if this battery will start it tomorrow morning. This battery has less amp hours and less discharge than the one that was fitted. So if this one started in the morning, then it is pointing to the starter solenoid. I'll take off that fly lead now, and then we'll leave it. That's about it, hopefully. So that's it, it's running again, and it's running quite well. What I'm going to do is that I'm not going to charge the battery anymore. I'm going to double check the voltage, see what's in it, and then tomorrow morning we'll come down and see if it starts. I suspect it will. If it doesn't start, then it's something else. But I'll just wrap up now, and we'll go from there tomorrow. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for swinging on by. I really appreciate it. See you later. Bye now. Shazam! I was going to take it home and it didn't feel right. So I thought, bugger it. And if you're going to do it once and do it well. So now I'm going to take off all the leads to the starter motor, check all the earths from the body to the chassis and the chassis to the battery, and make sure everything electrically is right. It does feel better with the start solenoid on, but rather than just going off one push of the start button, the second one's a lot easier, and I don't know why. So I think the start solenoid may need bedding in a little bit because it only started the bench 2 or 3 times, but I feel I haven't done a good enough job, so I want it to be right. Let's just do it once and do it well. Time for a time lapse. So you've just seen me remove the starter cable from the solenoid down to the starter motor, and I've found something quite interesting. So if you look at here, just zoom in a little bit, sorry about the terrible light. We can only play with the cards we're dealt. You can see here, it's been chafing, and it's chafed through, and you can see a witness mark on the other side, because it's upside down. So this is the underside here, and you can see just about there, see the witness marks of it arcing a little bit there. So that is obviously a hazard anyway, because nobody likes chafage whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is I'll order a new cable, or I'll get one made even, because these are all custom made. I'll get it made about an inch longer so I can route it slightly differently, and I'll go from there. It's a shame because it is quite good cable, but I think for now, what I'm going to, just to prove that it is this, is that I'll put some heat shrink over it. I'll put 2 or 3 coats of heat shrink over it to protect it, and that'll be all right for the next couple of days. And then we'll go from there. I'll be back in a moment. So now I've cleaned it up. You can see it is quite deep. Something like that. So what I'm going to do, as a temporary measure, this is only temporary, I'm having stress. There's people out there crying at the screens, just make a new one. I will. So I'll quickly heat shrink this on. Heat shrink's fantastic stuff. And what I'll do, I'll put 2 of them on. Just make sure it's cool before I slide the other one over. How many times have you done that? You've heat-proofed something or heat-shrunk something, and then I'll put it over the solder too quickly and it's melted. Yeah, bugger. And another piece over the top. Exactly the same place. Get it too hot. We'll throw it back in, and we'll throw it back in without the heat. We'll leave the heat shield off for a few days because it's nice and warm. We don't really need it in this sort of temperature. We'll throw it all back together, and then we'll see how we go. I hope this may be it, but then again, I've said that before, and I have been proved slightly wrong. Hey! So that's the car all back together. Quite pleased with it. We're back together perfectly fine, as you would imagine. Now I'm going to see if it starts any better. I'll let you decide what you think. What do you think? Now that to me is how a series should start. Sort of first turn of the key, fires straight into life, and ticks over quite well. To prove it, I am going to take it home now, this time rather than earlier, and we'll see how we get on tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's plan currently is we'll get the 90 in, we'll have a look at the distributor. I think it's the top bush that's gone in the rotor arm, so I think we'll change out the distributor hole as a whole, and I might fit or try and transpose the AccuSpark that's on there. If not, it'll have to go back to point and condenser for a little bit until I get this engine built and then drop that in. But there's something special for the distributor in that one, which I'll no doubt I'll tell you in the future. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again. Bye now.